Hello, areas where there are a lot of shootings. I want to show you what you're in. It's intercity, it's criminally foreign influence systems where and how they are a value nature transfer, value as a volume of as nature, as value per a value nature per as the values nature system that is reality slash existence slash space in demonstration to us of itself as a complete only going to the beginning of the Old Testament. This is with cipher and deciphered direct. In other words, they're talking about dividing the firmament, the day from good, the bad, and that's good and bad. Identity's relationship to itself as a trinity nature. See, the whole thing we'll examine it, but this is about criminal insidiousness nature too, with the story of Adam and Eve, and about identity nature. The identity of a verb. See, this is why we treat Adam as a subject and Eve as a verb. And this works because, in other words, the identity of the verb changes when it's not a main verb. It becomes a participle nature or an infinitive nature. And I'll reveal how we have to speak about it that way in relationship to how the predicate act is recorded, but to correlation honest, simultaneously in demonstration how the science is sharing our identity simultaneously. So this is how we can stop shootings in areas, because it's connected to what kept the branches as identities originally, and still in collusion to all spots with a crime method that recorded to correlation honest caused more than 99.9% of the crimes consciously, methodically, here before modern nations were instituted. Before the identities of jobs of the law, they were as colonization, as fighting nations of identities. They already were criminally ranged. They were identities of relationship to our nature's system itself. In defense of that, all victims, but stayed fact cheap in nature, valuing line progression roles, pseudo-positive roles, sensibilities conform to all spots as criminal insidious natures. It needs to hide that as indifference to exploitations of and valuing of as fact cheap in nature, the causes of negative value nature progressions, acts, and natures blamed on other things, on others themselves. So then we acts like predicate acts. So this is important to correlation, being able to understand how the identity of the sciences are obfuscated each, and worse than that, to maintain them criminally exploited. So it is recorded part of the problem, how it was maintained, methodically maintained, motivated from off campuses and intersciences, insidious motivations and value nature systems positions obfuscating the value of each science as them, as victim predators. So this is opinion natures in a value nature system that's criminally foreign influenced to maintain together, individual, grouped, and overall defending an identity of negative value nature progression. So defending convictions and opinion nature of a nature that can't defend itself without needing to hide lies, delusions, and ill-natured premises treatments. By saying, oh, that's precedence. For example, the identity of the branch, the judicial branch. See, this is also individually grouped, maintained in collusion before candidate processes, before and that keeping states and areas in collusion, criminally foreign influence, criminal and seditious natures, valuing pseudo-positive. So I just want to read the one sentence to the areas. So this is because we also have a whole bunch of nations that are keeping this the outcome here and there, but it's the way it's kept, not only with the surface nations in the militaries originally and still maintain criminally foreign influence. For George Washington to tell no lies, he want demonstrably. It's about he left in Connecticut, CT. He left overt slavery, which he didn't want for the surface of the Constitution. There's theater positive, talking about a more perfect union. They wanted us, especially James Madison, needs us to explain how George Washington is valued. And when we hold them as a theater positive, we're criminally foreign influenced. What they wanted us to value, and that's going to be an identity position that is incapable of defending itself and of defending us from what is private and overt criminal enterprises and everything from off campuses, maintaining on off campuses, fit to collusion, facilitated to it, not just interbranch and intermilitary, and not just the surface nations. And as a method that knew that it would keep all identities incapable of countering this nature of criminal insidiousness that has all the other styles of lying and getting away with it. This is recorded consciously, making especially like little black girls and boys, making them think that what is pseudo care, what is pseudo peace, and what is fake integrity of behavior forced respected on them, as the same bodies and systems also recorded with aggression forced on them dishonestly, with orchestrations to identity theft methods missed intercity, non-distinctly our common enemy against each person, even in each nation, but everyone missing how to counter it because everyone's blaming the causes, needing to already having value it blamed on others and on themselves. And so, see, Santos elves have no help. So they knew if you're in an area and you're going to shoot someone, they knew that you'd have to figure out how to counter that by exploiting that's pseudo care, that's pseudo peace. As each nation fact cheaping beasts their pseudo peace. Campus Martius rises in the east. So we have identity thefts recorded consciously, methodically, with a method recorded, maintaining the outcome consciously through other motivations. See, they were facilitated to this. KKK treatments and Confederate flag treatments of CCSU is recorded and confessed and demonstrated interbranch families through time. Private with on-off campuses, CCSU criminal justice, roles with prisons, leaderships and their families, roles with fire departments and their families, criminally involved here with Russians, and with a Kuwaiti, with deans from colleges I didn't go to and ones I did go to, involved with the departments used criminally. Per crime methods that are intercity with the same actors covering up live progressions that are facilitated per crime method recorded, leveraged and force sustained on each person, internature of city, suburbs and urban, distinctly and non-distinctly sickly, to hide how non-distinctly sickly. And that's what causes everything. vaccine. We have mandated law not followed and interbranch actors forging and switching names. And using that also as with doctors criminally involved, foreign and domestic, Russians, and then how they criminally involved. Then if you try to call something up, they're lying. They're forging, switching names further. Database illusion stacking. We have offensive. They're recorded, involved, and confessed. See, Al Nielsen. I never even had a company only play. I never had anything to do with them. But women and men at CCSU demonstrated, confessed, and recorded that he's involved with the Russians criminally involved here with Paul Manafort treatments too. And these are people with identity thefts, not just of me. But distinctly sickly against me, distinctly non-distinctly sickly against my family members and every family member, because of how offensively, criminally, interbranch police enrolls training all the police forms involved criminally. Former director of the FBI, other agencies like CIA and their family members, a Leahy family forging names of doctors, pretending I had a conversation with him or anybody about the CIA, pretending that they're repeating what I said. After that, in the whole, I would never have a conversation with him or anybody else about CIA. And other people online were tied to them with other natures of federal crime acts and roles criminal with a fake news crime acts and with a Fienza family and with criminal placements of ad placements with companies, with families with crime acts involved, like an Iowa family, like the criminal methods recorded preventing me from getting the name of a leasing agent involved with interstate and intercity child abuses on off campus with CCSU, tied to what motivated their roles with crime acts proven in the Ninth Circuit Trade Center attacks context with the same interstate from Connecticut, Central Connecticut State University, CCSU, Paul Manafort Drive, right on there. The road leading up to it, Wells Road, Samuel Dick's house, mobile gas station since before I worked there. Justin Klavinskis, his wife, all the way up towards that, and other people I don't know the names of, that I never tried to contact you, or made confessions to me, timed about, I didn't understand about their relationship to a spot with like businesses around a serial killer body dumping spot. Real or made up, that guy recorded and confessed involved with crimes with their drug clicks with the courts. One-way reports, identity thefts. See, the whole time, that's the only proper way. And maybe it's vast debatable. The proper way to counter and to explain our history is the fact, cheap nature, slavery of our founders. The identity, their stolen identities, one's handed forced to them. That's slavery. We're talking about identity thefts, and we're talking about what knew that people would have to be value having it blamed on other things, other causes on themselves, and then are invested to roles. Never having seen that until the age all theater positive is raised. Criminal insidiousness nature of a source before then, with sicker than the overt criminal enterprises, are what keeps them intercampuses made. All evading criminally foreign influenced, leveraged fake positive natures, demonstrated to each age a fact nature. And see, that's where they know. Because interbranch families are recorded also with all that private ties to them, database tied clicks, maintains a role self-cultivated with what propagated branches originally as areas predators, hiding their live progressions as needed to facilitate it by the machine. This is a criminal insidious nature machine that is criminal foreign influence is not sourced by one nation specifically as a method to keep all surface nations and all group natures of FBI, CIA, recorded and confessed, involved with crimes with my area, with families criminally involved through time. They have crime methods recorded consciously, making fact treatments in cases to hide other natures of courts criminally involved with them. They're pretending criminally that we don't have the right to sue the government when we have the right when they have individuals involved with identity thefts, with crime action cases already through time, in collusion with the people there through intercampuses collusion, maintained first already having been propagated to areas crime rules with identity theft sequence shift behavioral crime method, which is keeping each age of fact cheating nature grouped, means men and women in collusion, using men and women concept and behavior and used as that, and you because you for their own reasons and used by that by branches for their own reasons for direct collusion with what is way worse, and then with overt criminal enterprises recorded, facilitated for this mostly, except for the individual, even because this is sustaining on areas where there are a lot of shootings, drugs, and things like that. This sustaining use is the real criminal insidious nature behind it. I'm not learned, not before, I'm not military. They're recorded to George Washington to tell no lies. This is our conversation about the organized crime that made him leave in Connecticut, CT, the cherry tree, fake branches, overt slavery in the North, no, in New York City too, tied to this, right between New York and Boston. And with the French general's help, he still had to leave it right before the last battle of the Revolutionary War. Now, see, they glorify that. Him coming, this was forced counter extortion, forced roles with what people, if they told the truth, they would have got killed. So they handed everyone theater to make unfold that the Declaration was criminal and seditious nature theater to make not know realize who was forcing the Constitution, which is supposed to be forced unabridged, but it was stuck abridged. Slavery was as an overt criminal enterprise juxtaposed, legalized, and fake sides, divide and conquer to keep, in other words, all fact, cheap in nature invested to and as what you have to hide lies, delusions, and premises. See, not only do we need habeas corpus rights, we need another nature of statutes, because we are a trinity in other words, anybody of value, even grouped all together, we can still see that it comes with semi-nature on all sides of it, two natures of it, and one value relationship to itself, or value nature. So we're not being elect. People are debating us offensively, but by needing to already having value pseudo-positive, down to finite body of value treatments. So when they talk about precedents and law and what things are, this is as a criminally foreign influenced roles, each modern nation souls. So we can demonstrate how everyone was facilitated to roles, keeping the real causes of overt criminal enterprises and of private ones in collusion with the branches and with the military, with behavior rackets, where they bore people out with people that are in the background tied to database solution stacking, interbranch, keeping the wrong and private. We have hundreds of nations force-share policing fake sites sick. There too, grouped. They're all their police forms. Now this is a fact treatment nature racket that involves all kinds of opinion natures with that. But they're all recorded through each age of fact treatment nature, victim predators, Oz never missed the crime method off campuses and then on off campuses. In other words, even when there wasn't campuses, even when they had to preserve education, whatever ways they were, that's a value of the campus that was already value to our nature. Where it's a gaining positive or negative relationship to the identity of all things, vaccines. But we're not being let free speech. They're stealing our identities if we try to point out the proofs that are recorded that show the branches preventing wire crime methods, identity crime methods, acts and natures, interbranch and collusion, and private and collusion with other nations too, how maintained, facilitated. They're needing to pretend those are allegations by preventing sequence shifts proven in courts interstate tied to the ones, in other words, proven a sequence shift proven in that was post-dated documents presented to a panel of judges in the Ninth Circuit on the Trade Center attack context in Manhattan right there, also shut down by Air Force. And so, also worse than interstate, because those were people from CCSU Crime Acts. Crime Acts rolls with Middlesex Community College and with Vermont. And this is interstate, how they're using psychology with shared policing of other nations like Russians and Americans, using mental diagnosis, criminally recorded, forging names. Doctor confessed it and stuff like that. They deny on a thing. Forging and switching names rules. Various natures of courts with the drug cliques and the family members of the various natures of courts criminally involved, especially probate courts, because this is the ones sickly against the kids and the elderly in each age. All kind of economic mistreatments and rackets associated with Social Security. All the database groups and sensibility natures tied to that. Sensibilities we're going to examine as criminal insidiousness natures, because we're going to examine our history as a counter to a nature of organized crime that are each modern nation's legal identities of legal nature are recorded, criminally foreign influenced, and delusions wrought, victim predator justifications of that, because of a theater that had built keeps everyone blaming other and others and selves methodically for what really is making the worst uses and needs by the overt criminal enterprises to have them sustained to all areas, to have live progressions, intercampuses maintained, interactions between each age used to keep this nature of criminal insidious nature keeping all roles. Sick. More than 99.9% of the crimes was this one, and with a whole bunch of other ones with it that are never charged, juxtaposed on those crimes. The outcomes of them, what's really happening, motivated, maintain statistics in relationship to this, treatments of the defenses of each branch's financial positions, stuff like that. Their whole sensibility natures were maintained as victim predator weapons. So we have mail crimes, wire crimes, and we have branches set to fall. That's our history in Build Wall. The police chief now for years and the past one are also recorded and confessed involved with one of the houses, involved with extended family members with identity thefts against me through time, and with others involved with their interbranch sex crime acts and crime rolls with houses next to schools and churches. and with military police intercity through time on and off CCSU with a pattern of crime acts preventing legitimate information, because we have our nation's agencies invested as, victim predator fears and awes in relationship to all the shared policing internation on and off campuses, and where and how things like prisons and like internation invested value treatments and ties science's sharing identity. But now they're around a bond that's tactically ulterior from the bond that our value as nature, as volume really is. This is about the nature of volume here, about the difference between criminal seriousness and or what is gaining positive value nature. Progressions here as only thing that really is evolution, which is what works as invention but is also positive all ways. Is not being used to exploit exception nature, which is in demonstration of the quality and integrity of fact treatment nature we need to have to be able to tell the history of one modern nation. Capitalism and communism and socialism are recorded, used as breaching tools, as concepts, with physical delusions inter science, recorded criminally foreign, juxtaposed, criminally influenced. This maintained originally and still through all that is juxtaposed. So we have the branches recorded criminally pretending they can't be sued, knowing that they're in collusion with perjury acts, and worse, leading up to, and then in the context of a 2006 case with former director of the FBI and with other agencies and other agents involved criminally with him, with federal criminals that were his co-defendants in that part of the case /s that was ongoing at the time of my father's death. Also per them recorded and confessed involved criminally with a Leahy family with that. Crime acts with that leading up to that case, and with Hartford Hospital, forging names, attaching me to fake conversations about police equipment police recording people I never had before. They're recorded pretending I was talking about police equipment. They've been using police. They were online with Jerry Miller saying that confessing crimes with a Kerr family through time, recorded with a court involved with sex crime acts and with that were used to force sustained, not told on, a principal sex offender. Also interbranch actors with crime acts with that. So not just with the police chief, and also with retired and standing detectives associated with my area and other FBI involved criminally and indirectly criminally with the same people criminally involved with the Faenza family and fake news crime acts and criminal uses of media police and sequence shifting roles and illusion tricks with areas. So they're delirious. So they're lying to the attorney generals now, and they're using excuses like that's politics and things like that, because they're criminally doing that though. But that's all that's realized per what is keeping all victim predators, for example, defending just because they're doing acts and have the best means, like networks and all this. All people, you could say, "Oh, go do a story there." See, but that's being used to pretend they're real science. Each science is fake science. And when it comes down to it, when you need to have a quality of fact treatment nature that needs to react to things like sex crime acts and sex crime methods with schools, we're not being allowed to, and with religious spots, we're not being allowed to do it because of interbranch recorded raised predators, overt criminal enterprises in collusion with their sources, recorded and confessed, demonstrable, and private ones, and with their drug cliques, interbranch, intermilitary, coordinated, criminally involved. And this is what motivated Connecticut intercampus's interbranch families criminally involved. Juxtaposed private facilitated to that, needing to hide the same finite body of value, discernment, and progressive lies. Needing to rely on theater they did to pretend I would had conversations with and was and relationships to people that weren't at all in the past, like with houses tied to the interbranch families and stuff like that. We're going to go into because they won't fix their fake news crime acts, identity theft crime acts about me, forging names interbranch, switching names. This has been since before the Trade Center crime attack. They're offensively preventing me from demonstrating interbranch police and the courts and their family members and their drug cliques involved with confessions and requests for help from interbranch police on off CCSU criminally involved with the body dumping spot of the serial killer, with military families, foreign and domestic, like with the Justin Levinskis and his wife Lucinda Alderuccio, or I don't know if it's her last name. I never had a class with her. The only two times I saw her, she walked up to me to confess, demonstrate, and record involvements with him, recorded with identity theft crimes with KKK, with media fake news crime acts too, and with Confederate flag themed crime acts cliques, with identity theft cliques, crimes with, per them, through CCSU and on off campus with DCF sexual circles associated with Gary Sasso and the family of a prison leadership with the DCS woman associated with a Pete. I don't know his name. Also, golf course spots with the interbranch families criminally involved through time. Also, a Soto family. Others, I never had a conversation with a Soto family. Also, a Paul Epton. I never had a conversation with a Paul Epton. He's recorded and confessed involved criminally with a Hartford Hospital drug cliques and people associated with a Brendan Leahy and his father, Brendan Leahy, and women in their family involved drugs with the kids, crimes with the guys.